Welcome to Miler's Mods, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a comparison between the C4 caliburn and the worker Harrier. Let's begin, shall we? We'll start with the C4. The C4 caliburn is the latest and perhaps one of the last iterations by the great Captain Slug. This one was built by Frontline Foam. This is a spring-powered blaster. It does about 270 FPS or so normally, but these blasters have been modified to do 300. This here is the worker Harrier. This is again, it's a spring-powered magazine-fed blaster, just like the C4. The only difference is it's injection molded.
And it has auto return.
Yeah, and it has auto return. I mean, there are a few differences. Injection molding being the biggest one. Injection molding is superior. I saw this in a group and I was trying to explain to somebody why people praise worker blasters and why some don't. Well, for me, it's real simple. Look at location. They say location's everything. Location, 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 right? Okay. An injection molded blaster is more friendly in certain weather environments than a caliburn. Such as, I don't know, if you play in the American Southwest, such as Utah or places like that, or maybe even Nevada, parts of Nevada, Texas, you'll have a tendency to have what's known as warping. Not necessarily where your blaster will straight up melt like they can do, but they'll warp. And it'll really hamper performance. That's one of the main reasons why I don't do 3D printed blasters on my giveaways, because I have no control over where they're going. If they were going to a cool weather climate, I would be more adept to send that. But again, since I have no idea whoever wins, I don't do that. I just send out injection molded blasters. I mean, not to take anything away from Captain Slug or his work at all, or anybody that makes them for that matter. It's just that injection molding is always superior to 3D printing. 3D printing is great for prototyping, okay? 3D printing, you can make a blast out of, yes, and it functions. Believe me, that blaster functions well. Milo, why don't you rack off a couple shots of that blaster? So it's just that that's the main difference, is that that's an injection molded product. You have to be, that's a 3D printed product. The caliburn's a 3D printed product. You have to be more careful with it. You have to treat it differently than injection molded blaster. An injection molded blaster like that one is more forgiving to the elements. It's more forgiving to environment. I mean, and definitely not to take anything away from the worker Harrier either, or the caliburn. The problems that they have is that right there, that's the plunger rod. And, well, that's the plunger head. Now, on a 3D printed blaster, because this happened with my caliburn, what happened was that I was running the original 3D printed plunger head from Captain Slug. Well, the plunger head wore out after about 150 shots. So I ended up getting metal internals at that point. But that just proves that 3D printing's not the greatest in the world, but not to take anything away from it. Now, onto the Harrier. It's injection molded. It has an auto return. It's definitely a premium blaster for what it is.
Definitely hits like a freight train too.
It certainly does hit like a freight train as well. It's just that when you buy a blaster, you have to consider where you live, what environment you live in. And I don't care who you are or what lie you tell yourself. Okay, and I'm not taking anything away from 3D printers or people that print or whatever. It's not my business to do that. It's just to point out that injection molding is always superior. I would personally rather play with an injection molded product than a 3D printed blaster. I mean, but I have several 3D printed blasters as well. Now, you're going to say, well, let's talk price. Okay, let's talk price. A fully maxed out caliburn with all metal internals from Frontline is about $230 to $240. Okay, keep that in mind. A worker Harrier with the 1.6 by 30 centimeter spring and the upgraded 450 millimeter barrel, it's right around $200. So right then and there, the Harrier's cheaper. That's another reason. Another reason, like I said, is weather conditions. You can't have a 3D printed blaster in Africa because it'll melt. The same thing with the same reason why you can't play with them often in the American Southwest, because they'll warp. 3D printing is great. It really is. But injection molding is always the way to go. The main reason why, say, people praise Worker and yet they boo Dart Zone is because, take for example, a friend of mine, Peter Parker, great player. He lives in Australia. In order to get one of the brand new MK4s into his country, it's not going to cost him 180 United States dollars. No, it's going to cost him almost 400, because he would have to pay the import fees. He would actually have to have it shipped to Australia and then hope it makes it through customs. But Worker, they're known throughout the world. The Worker blasters are very easy to obtain. But that's why injection molding is also superior to 3D printing, because you can play with injection molding anywhere. 3D printing, you kind of have to watch the weather conditions more than anything else. If it gets too hot or too humid, you're going to have to shelve the blaster and pick up something that's injection molded. That's why it's easy. Like when I go to a battle, I just grab 1 or 2 3D printed blasters, and I'll grab a whole bunch of injection molded blasters to take with me. But like I said, the main difference between a caliburn and something like the Harrier, why the Harrier is basically a caliburn killer, is because it's injection molded. And trust me, people, no matter what anybody tells you, injection molded blasters are always superior to 3D printing. Well, that's my thoughts on the Worker Harrier versus the C4 caliburn. But yes, I truly believe the Worker Harrier to be a caliburn killer. Well, thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Myler's Mods signing off.